Okay, so once we determine the length, we're going to take our yardstick and just measure up from the floor to see exactly what length she wants. It made 8 inches off the floor. So then I'm going to, you could use the yardstick or ruler if it's shorter like this. But I have my skirt marker here and I'm just going to use the pin placement through the skirt marker and walk it around her leg and pinning through the pin area on the skirt marker. Once you have made your pin mark and your initial mark with your ruler at eye level, then it's easy to go around with your skirt marker. So I'll continue around so I get back to the front. Get there. So now I'm in the front, and it is kind of hard to, you can see I did not touch both pieces there. You gotta make sure that we touch both pieces in the fabric. Like that. And then I can just take and flip this out, and I have a nice straight edge all the way around. You want to make sure that your hem is going to hang straight and parallel to the floor. You have to accommodate different body shapes, and one leg may be longer than the other. I'm going to go ahead and do the same exact thing to the other side and meet back up with you after that. Okay, so you can see that I have marked all the way around using my skirt marker, and this is just a shorter skirt marker here. As I said, you could use your measuring tape or a ruler, a design ruler. Either way, either one will work. Now, once we're finished with this step, she is going to sleep in with me, and we are going to be doing a hem where we keep the original feathers from the bottom of the hem. So I'll get back to that. So the last thing that you're going to do is have your customer go ahead and fill out an invoice and write down what it is that you're doing. And then we will pin this to the garment, or if it's a garment bag, just stick it in the garment bag. So you can always keep up with the garments that you have in your studio. So with this particular hem being keeping the original hem on the bottom, we have to mark it on the front side or the right side of the fabric. Typically you would want to mark on the wrong side of the fabric. But because of the way that this hem has to be done, it has to be marked on the right side. So please make sure that you use a chalk that will brush off, or a marking pen that washes out or disappears over time. So also you'll notice that this hem is uneven to begin with. So what I'm going to do, since I use the skirt marker, is just measure up 1.25 inches from the pins. You always want to double for this particular type of hem where you're going to keep the bottom, the original hem. You need to double what the hem is. So this hem is 5/8 inch, so 5/8 plus 5/8 is 1.25 inches. So I'm just going to go around making my mark 1.25 inches above each pin. And obviously this pin's a little bit crooked, so just going to kind of even it out here to keep in line with the other pin. And I will continue around marking from the original pin. And yes, I did mark it to begin with because I assumed that hem was 1/2 inch looking at it from here. And then I realized when I turned it over that it was 5/8. So please make sure that you measure the original hem on the inside to get an accurate measurement. If I can get this one off a little bit so it's not confusing. And then we're going to take our design ruler, our clear design ruler, and just true the line up Truing the line up just simply means to straighten it out. It may look a little bit crooked because the back typically goes down slightly to accommodate your junk in your trunk. But it's easy to connect the lines as we move through. Alright, so I'm going to continue on with this pair or this leg, and then I'll meet you back when we get ready to fold it. Alright, so now we're ready to fold it up and pin and begin to sew. So the first thing you're going to do is just fold up the hem, and yes, you are folding right sides together here. You're going to fold it up to the line that we drew, and I always like to pin. So if I'm putting this underneath my sewing machine, let's say this is my sewing machine arm, I am putting it under here. I like to pin in the direction that I'm going to pull the pins out. So you're going to go ahead and pin this on all the way around, matching the line that we drew. And if it looks a little off, it's okay, because we used our skirt marker or a ruler, and we know that it's even. They could have originally just been cut slightly off. Typically, those are not things that we notice if it's an eighth of an inch off, but for a skirt or something that's a little more formal, it is definitely more noticeable. The bottom of this leg is slightly larger, so I am going to have to stretch this in as I sew. These jeans do have a little stretch in them. But we have this leg pinned up. I'm going to go ahead and just fold this leg up here and pin this and meet you back at the sewing machine. Now for actually hemming these jeans, where we're going to keep the original hem. So many people ask me about this, so the first step is to place your jeans or denim pant leg underneath your sewing machine. Make sure that the seam allowance is facing the same way. I do not like to start on the thicker part here, so I just come a little further back, and I am aligning the inside edge of that fold right there with the center part of my sewing machine, so that I am almost stitching in the ditch. It's not really stitching in the ditch, but kind of stitching in the ditch right along the edge of the seam here. So we're just going to stitch around, and remember that you need to set your sewing machine on a higher stitch length. I have mine almost a 4. So we're going to, and that is just because that's denim. So we're going to just go all the way around here to the end, stitching right along the edge. Okay, so now that we're back to the beginning, I am going to backstitch. You may have noticed that I did not backstitch to begin with, but I am going to backstitch. Remove this from the sewing machine. Then we're going to cut the edge off here, right along the edge, leaving about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And while I do that, and you do that, I will meet back with you once we both have that completed. Okay, so you can see here that I went ahead and cut these off right around the edge, leaving around a 1/4 of an inch. I did leave a little bit just so that you can see exactly where I am cutting. Sometimes I think that that's just self-explanatory, but then I thought, maybe someone would like to see that. So I cut off all of the bottom fold that I had on there, and now I am just going to open up the seam allowance that was originally there, tuck this seam allowance into it, and top stitch. We will be good to go. I do not have this colored denim thread, so I'm just going to use the same color in a regular thread for this demonstration. But you should always keep a good selection of denim thread, which is the thicker thread, on hand, just so that if you are doing basic alterations, you will always have it handy and ready to go. Be careful not to cut your denim. And I will continue with this all the way around on both legs and then come back to show you how to close it up. Okay, before we get finished up or begin to sew our hem, I'm just going to come in here and grade this seam so it's not so thick. So I'm just going to take off that little bit right there to grade that seam so it's a little bit shorter. You can see on the inside here that it's slightly shorter than the second seam, so that whenever I fold it, it will lay flatter in there. Fold it over, it's nice and flat, and it will make it a lot easier to sew over. So I am going to go ahead and sew this together. I would recommend that you guys put pins in it. I have pressed the seam allowance up all the way around, so I went ahead and pressed it up all the way around. If you have a serger, you can serge this off. Sometimes it creates a little bit more thickness, so I just pressed it nice and neat down towards the hem, and I'm going to pin it in a couple of spots all the way around. I've already graded the other seam allowances in there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and sew all the way around this edge. I'm going to use the tan color thread to do my tops. I'm going to put my stitch length on about 3.5 here. It doesn't have to be a really tight stitch because it is denim. The heavyweight, most heavyweight fabrics use a longer stitch. Not a basting stitch, but just a longer stitch. You typically set your machine for a 3 for a regular stitch and a 5 for a basting, 3.5 to 4 on denim or canvas. Okay, so let's get started on this hem. Again, I am starting behind the seam because it is a little bit more difficult to sew over that seam. And I am keeping the edge of my jeans here right on the inside edge of the foot. That's going to be my guide. And I'm just going to go over. It's more difficult if you have a regular domestic home sewing machine. So this project would be best used with a industrial machine, lightweight or heavyweight industrial machine. But I am able to make it work with my handy dandy Bernina. I am stretching this slightly because these jeans have a little bit of stretch in them. So you'll notice I did not backstitch at the beginning. I only backstitch when I get back around to the beginning at the end. And we have successfully hemmed these jeans here, and they look amazing. They look just like they did before. Thanks for watching.